Welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it's Your Impact Attack. That's right, you sitting at home. Acknowledge the Impact Attack, the VBC. That's the vet, Jamie Williams. It's Brandon tagging through the magic of the internet. And Brandon, we have a C with us. But before we get to the C, we also got to get to our special guest, the R to the B to the V. So with the VBC and the RBV, that's 6 powerful letters to get you through this Monday night. Gentlemen, what is happening?
Whoop, whoop. That is 3 of the strongest 3-letter agencies in the HMG. Whoop, whoop. Good to see you guys. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, gentlemen, great to be here. Acronyms for everybody as we celebrate MLK Day in the USA. Acronyms everywhere. Settled in, ready to talk a little TNA. Once again with you, gentlemen, it is an honor, a privilege to be here.
Well, thanks for joining, Rick.
Should we just try to do that? Just talking acronyms the entire show?
I can't keep this up. I can't. But yeah, but yeah. So I reached out to you on the the text, and I said, so did you actually end up watching? Would you like to come on? Because I think I don't want to speak for Brandon, but as far as like covering TNA goes, I'm a little fried and I'm fed up. And maybe the people enjoy that, but I also would like to freshen up the perspective a little bit. And what I'm guessing is probably going to happen is it's going to be a little something in the key of see, it's not just me. But we'll see about that later. We got a lot to talk about, but yeah, so that's why I wanted to bring you in if possible, and here we are. So
yeah,
I want to give the people a tease for what's coming.
I love that you reached out with it. I not only did I watch it, I watched with Brandon. So we did the live watch along here together. Went through it, and as soon as you reached out, it's like absolutely yes, because I think there's a lot to peel back on this debut than maybe others are looking at just on the surface, and things that I wanted to ask you, get your perspective, just not from following the weekly program, but just that great insider knowledge to you. Because to me, there's a lot on the table to talk about before they ever went live, what their strategy was, what they were hoping to achieve, maybe where they missed that. And I was telling Brandon just as we were watching Raw, after you sent out that request for me to join, I stayed away as much as I could from conversations with others about what my thoughts on the show were. And I didn't deep dive into what others were saying, but damn vet, it was impossible to not see the overwhelming negative feedback across the board from like the sickos, those TNA diehards, to casuals, to even talking heads and legends in this business, tearing this thing down. And I don't necessarily think going to those extremes is fair for what we saw from TNA here.
Well, Brandon, as the saying goes, what was the cage match rating?
Yeah.
Well, like what
1.57 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
However, yeah, I'm not defending the quality of the show. Not at all. But I am also putting things in its proper perspective of a lot of people who go to the cage match are the kind of people who were AEW diehards who got offended by what Chris Jericho or things like what Chris Jericho said about like TNA being the true number 2 promotion, and basically waiting for TNA to fall on their face and have a bad show like this so that they can kind of rub it in there. My opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, cage match isn't for ratings. Let's get that clear. Cage match is for archival purposes. Like, what date did this match take place and what promotion and stuff like that. And you can even find out what Meltzer gave it if you care about having those kind of conversations. Those things are archived as well. So it's a very useful tool. But, because of that, a couple of years ago when people started taking their ratings into account, like that means anything. It's just everything has fan ratings. If you go to look up a movie on Google or whatever, it says like, oh, well, Google users rated this movie. Well, it's always 9 out of 10 for every movie. I don't know why that is. But anyway, you know, stuff like that. IMDb has their fan rating. Like everybody rates stuff. It's, you know, even Netflix is asking you, do you give this a thumbs up? Do you give this 2 thumbs up? You know, how much do you like it? So can't hold everybody's feet to the fire just for having ratings, but I did want to throw that out there. So we got a lot to talk about. Now, you probably, RBV, you didn't watch Genesis, did you?
For the sake of coming on, I watched Genesis.
Oh my God. I was getting ready to show you the door early, but guess what? You're locked in now. All right. So put your seatbelt on.
Hey, if I thought that had to be my exit, I would have stuck with it, but I know you guys are usually good on your times, so you don't like sitting around all night just chit-chatting about some stuff. That's what I love about the Impact Attack. Talk business, in and out.
That's right. We try to set speed championship records every week, you know, but sometimes we need a certain amount of content, and we get some good help from the chat. Let's go to the C right now, Brandon. We got more than 4 horse people, I believe. Let's run through some of them, and we got a Chris Winland question. I'll say that right off the top.
Yeah, I think we got a Don Callis family building up tonight.
Jeez.
Yeah, so we got Lab Rat, we got Chris Winland, we got Liz, we got Javi Uchi, we got Dan, we got Cold Blooded, we got Todd. Yeet, yeet, whoop, whoop. How's everybody doing?
That's just to get us started. All right. So like we're saying, we run a tight ship. We want to get through stuff. We don't want to chit chat. Enough with the yip yap and the yiggity yang and whatnot. Let's get to some questions. Before we get to the news, there's a little bit of news, but not really too much specific. It's more like vague. And even so, I'm sure that the Monday Locker Room covered any pertinent dealings and news and stuff this morning. If you guys need your fix for that, you know, you get that from the head honcho. But Chris Winland says, what are some thoughts on intergender matches? Any good ones you can recall? Have you ever participated in one? I'll just say, and then I'll pass it to Brandon. I'll just say that any good ones I can... Well, first of all, thoughts. No. Second of all, are there any good ones? Probably. Don't remember. I'm not going to try to think. Thirdly, have I already participated in one? No. Not like a match that people came to see, but during training, we had to wrestle intergender all the time. You know, Rip would say, it's not goddamn diva practice, so... You know, anybody that wanted to get some sort of an education in wrestling in that environment had to go through the gauntlet, so to speak. So that would be like, you know, the standard stuff would be like tag team matches. He'd put, you know, he'd just say, so-and-so is a babyface, so-and-so is a heel. Babyface, shut the fuck up, ding, ding, ding. No time to prep. You know, maybe take 30 seconds to figure out the finish or whatever, but then we'd go right into it. So... everybody, you know, from Victoria Crawford, who's in TNA now, Barbie Blank, who you know as Kelly Kelly, Katie Lee Burchill, Serena Deeb, so many others. Like, yeah, I've been in the ring with all of them, but not in a capacity of like, oh, we got fans in the building, now I'm going to have a one-on-one wrestling match. So what about you, Brandon? What do you got for this?
There was one time I did have an intergender wrestling match. And if I remember correctly, the way we had set it up and structured it was, because I was a douchebag, arrogant heel, I played even more into that. And, you know, she'd get her hope spots in, but then eventually something would happen where we got to didn't even go like maybe 5 minutes with entrances. And we got to the finish where I got cocky. She capitalized on me. It looked like she was going to get the win, but then shut her down 1, 2, 3.
Nice. Men over strong.
Well, I think, you know, one of the things with the intergender there, that is, you mentioned, you did a lot of it in training because it's a necessity, because there just wasn't that many girls just to set their own class and the timing there. You see a lot of intergender, especially on today's indie scene, particularly for the same reason. There's just not a lot of women out there to book multiple, you know, to have like their own divisions or things like that. So you see them working against the guys a little bit more. When I was working with the Professional Wrestling Alliance, the year and a half that I was there, I caught heat because we would not book intergender matches. We had one we had to do beyond our control. We kind of merged with another company. They're tag champs. had a female and guy intergender tag champions. We had to really quick pivot off of that. We wrote the match where she was taken out of the match early on with the distraction, but we would catch that because like, well, why don't you think we can go in there and hang with the guys? It's not that. There's two different styles to it, you know, and you got to continue to make it believable, which creates, there's a trick to it. There's some magic that you need to create when you're booking females versus guys. I remember going to one of my big giants and I told him, I said, you just kind of killed your push with me because you're on another local show eating suplexes and selling punches from a 5'4", 120-pound girl. And you're a super heavyweight everywhere else. I said, that doesn't fly, bro. I mean, I know it's professional wrestling, but you got to keep that mystique. So you got to be smart in how you put those matches together, and you got to be able to keep that magic as well.
Yeah, I think the thing that everybody misses is that you're losing money in the long run. Yeah, you can, like RBV just points it out, like you could just do it, right? And a few people will be like, yeah, but in much the same way we talk about exposing the business with things like Unreal season 2 coming soon.
Dropping tomorrow.
Right. It's the same thing. So like, once you know that, then when you see an intergender match, you're like, yeah, I mean, that's fine because it's fake. So whatever. Well, I'm just, whatever. But you don't realize what that subconsciously does when you accept things like that in your mind. Even like I said, I'm just saying if everything that used to be an attraction and a money draw, because this is all supposed to draw money. Everything you do is for the purpose of drawing money. And that's a key thing going into this episode of TNA that we're about to talk about. You have to draw money. So if that's the point of doing that, yeah, you're going to draw a little bit of money just by having it, but you could draw a lot of money by making people think they're not going to get it and then giving that to them another way. It's the same thing, you could talk about on a macro level of the business, or you could talk about on the micro level of you've got an indie guy who's supposed to be a super heavyweight who's killing his gimmick because now it's like you can't tease that thing of him getting knocked off his feet because some chick down the street did it 20 times in a match, right?
Right.
So why are you going to pay to see it? I already seen it. I saw it down the street with a girl. So now that guy makes less money. You make less money. People are less interested. Anything you give people that they've already seen, they're a little less interested even when they like it. Like it could be anything. It could be your favorite TV show. You could watch the first episode. You could love it. You could watch the second episode. You could love it. You could watch the third episode. Now it's appointment television, right? Then maybe season 2 comes along. You take a break. Season 2 comes out. You're like, oh, I love that show. I'll catch up on that when all the episodes are out. It's not as much a priority. People just, they want what they don't have. That's human nature, right? So they tune in to see if they're going to get it. That's why sports work. I want my team to win. I don't know if they're going to win. Better tune in and see. Oh, they didn't win. Damn, my heart's broken. Well, there's always next season. Or, yay, we won. I feel good. I can't wait for next season. It's like you want what you don't have or what you don't know. So that's the whole thing about intergender. I think of intergender wrestling just like celebrities, Rick. Like when I see a guy come in like Bad Bunny and just have a match, like, oh yeah, of course he could just have a wrestling match. Why couldn't he? He's Bad Bunny. Of course he can have a wrestling match. Like, no, you should make people really, really have to work for that. There should be storylines about him like having to get cleared and trained and then saying, I don't really do that. Other people do that. I'm an entertainer. You guys, this is your world. I don't want to do it. And then be goaded into it repeatedly and refusing. Like these things so it's a buildup of like months and months and months, maybe even a year before you get it. And then it's like, finally. And it's the same thing with intergender. It like people like Nick Aldis, whoever, Santino Marella, TNA just does intergender now. So they're not even in the conversation, but let's say the general managers like Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis would be like, they should be, a woman could say, I want to kick, so-and-so's ass. I want to kick Dominic Mysterio's ass, like the Rhea Ripley thing. And they should be saying, we don't do that, and it should be a thing like petitions. I'm petitioning. The fans want to see it. All this stuff. It should be like
activists outside of the arena,
right.
Give us our chance,
Yeah, and if you keep telling the people that they're not going to get Dominic versus Rhea, then they're going to want it more. If you keep telling them no, they're going to want it more. and they're gonna be like, I'd pay $50. I'd pay $50 for one. Like that kind of thing. Like eventually you're gonna get the hype up so much that it is an attraction match. But what did they do? They just did it. It just happened.
They just gave that away. They let those two touch us out of nowhere.
Yeah,
they blow it. Sure, it got that decent pop there. Another good point there, you bring up that it should be treated as an attraction and build that story up where you've got heat, even if you can draw outside heat, as you said, rallying people, give the women this opportunity. And it's got to be kind of the right male counterpart, someone that needs to be taught a lesson in, equality, that sort of storytelling there. But again, as over in the chat, there mentioned some things like when Tessa in the hunt for the TNA championship, when China started going, she was kind of done with the women. She challenge the men? How far could she go? Once you cross that threshold, it's hard to go back as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where
actually with China, she did go back. Because she started with
it wasn't
men,
really
and then
the
they
same.
said, "Yeah, you're done with that. Now you're women only."
Right. So then now it's like, okay, why do we care to see this here? She had, and it exposed already the early problems she had in matches with women. The real reason she had to go to the guys is because she needed people to create that motion that could carry her in some matches. Then when she goes back, it's like, this is really awkward. Mm-hmm. Now, you do talk about some good payoffs. They were novelty for intergender matches, but that's what they were, is novelty. I'm thinking back to Baby Doll and Cornette. I mean, those were, people were lining up just to see that. Just see her kick his butt because they told those stories.
Right, which Cornette was not a wrestler. That's why it works. You can believe that, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why I mean, like a woman wrestler facing a guy wrestler should be the exact same as a professional wrestler facing a celebrity. I feel like that's on equal grounds. So they should be built up properly and made attractions if you're going to do them. Also, just to make a distinction between intergender and mixed tags, because I see a lot of examples of matches, those matches, the men aren't supposed to touch the women. So we're talking about specifically intergender where it's man versus woman, right? If we're just talking about mixed tags, the greatest of all time was the Ronda Rousey debut. That's one of the best matches ever done, regardless of genders or styles. It's just a perfect tag team match. So everybody should go back and watch that and see how it's done. But, and you have non-wrestlers in there like Ronda, who'd never done it, and Stephanie, who doesn't really do it, and it still ended up that good. So it just goes to show you how things can be done if they're done correctly. But in general, I feel like everything is kind of missing the boat on all this. And if you're not going to do it right, I say just don't do it until you figure out how to do it. And I don't know that it can ever really happen. But good question from Chris Winland. Thank you, Chris. Any other final thoughts on that, Brandon? Or
let me ask you real quick here, Fed. So again, going back to something I said early in my response there, you see a lot of this on the indies, just a bit of a spinoff. When it comes to television wrestling, that level, that presentation, should they stay away from the stuff that's heavily highlighted, promoted on the indies like this? I mean, you regularly hear sometimes we're watching like, man, that's so indie.
Oh, you mean to avoid being perceived as indie?
Like WWE, AEW, now Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, like the promotions that are seen on that big stage, like the majors, should they avoid doing the indie stuff? The indie spots and intergender matches, women, holding prominent men's titles, things like that. I mean, is it a good look for a general audience? So should they avoid it?
No, it's not a good look. Yes, I should avoid it.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, Brandon, any final thoughts on that?
Lab Rat just brought out exactly what I was about to bring up. Andy Kaufman made it an entire character, made an entire story out of it with a payoff, which is one of the greatest angles in wrestling history.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, and it turned into an angle with another guy.
But right. The payoff was with the King, but
right,
he got his heat because he was beating up the women.
Right, and again, like a lot of people don't know because that was the famous, but it didn't end with a pile driver from Jerry Lawler. Like he worked with Memphis for years, after that. So it's just, but it like I said, it's here today, gone tomorrow. That's no longer national news, Like nobody wants to hear Andy Kaufman keeping working with Jerry Lawler in Memphis. Like that's not national news anymore. That's local shit. So fuck off. That's kind of the whole thing. Like if you burn your good ideas or whatever, then eventually people move on, even if they are interested. So little bit of kind of news here. Interestingly, this is some bullshit, but I'll just say it for the sake of completionism. According to Fightful Select, Elena Black has inked a 1-year contract with TNA. So look for her to be full time. She's not just going to stand out there and do weird poses and talk off mic.
Shake it.
She'll do other stuff probably. So that's that. She supposedly got a 1-year deal, but apparently other people may not have a deal, like Trey Miguel. So apparently, he had no appearance with the Rascals when the Rascals showed up on Collision, and we were talking about that. Well, apparently Trey is one of those people that tweeted some bigot shit in the past, and it's kind of funny, but here we are. I mean, he's a rascal. What'd you expect? They told you, you knew what you were getting with these, ne'er-do-wells. But but this is the funny note on it is, according to Wrestling Observer Radio, these guys. This is just kind of funny. Brian Alvarez says, well, some people are saying certain things, but my understanding is whatever it is, it came from up above. I know there's a lot of rumors, but it had nothing to do with anybody at AEW Talent, anything like that, or Tony. Something happened from way up and he was released. Couple things on that. Number one, if you're just going to say, I know there's a lot of rumors and people are saying certain things, why don't you say what that is? And now maybe he did, and I didn't listen to this. This is just a clip out of context. So, maybe he did, but that's what they're saying. So interestingly, it's similar to the Jay Briscoe situation. Of course, people are going to draw that parallel, but so then he did his tweet apology. Who's higher than Tony? Well, nobody in AEW is higher than Tony, but
Jesus, the Lord.
Yeah, the network people.
Let me ask you here for that, because this is
the people that are so big a fan of fringe wrestling fans as Twitter accounts.
Well, that's what's funny about this to me, that because Ben and I were talking about this, and it's before kind of this news came out about his past indiscretions, things that he put out there might have been hurtful towards some other individuals. We were questioning, was there a domestic thing? Was there something we weren't sure about that came from the top? But are we to believe that Warner Brothers Discovery is their HR is digging through the histories of all these signings with AEW, or was there like a snitch? Somebody rat this out that didn't want him in the company? Because as you said, a lot of comparisons to the Briscoe situation. Social media went crazy though with the Briscoe stuff. The living hate bots, the real life hate bots came out, with all of the quotes, had these things saved. You didn't see that towards Trey here. I mean, this just kind of, at first we were questioning, could it have been something with MJF and his wife? Is he taking a mental health break? I mean, it wasn't till later that this came out about this tweet from years ago.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, guys. This article here ain't saying nothing. The reason what I found out was I just, so I'm going to Wrestling Inc., right? Because they got a format I can deal with. And then I see this article. Well, under the article, what's that little thing? 75 comments. So I go to the fans. I have to go to the fans to get it. Because these dirt sheet people, look, I already cooked the dirt sheets on the wreckage on Sunday. So if you want to hear that and how ineffective they are, then please go give that a listen. Because I definitely let them have it as a whole. Like as a concept, I let the dirt sheets have it. Like you ain't reporting shit. You're out here talking about, well, maybe Chris Jericho might be going to WWE. I don't know. Meanwhile, it's like, oh, did you realize that Hobbs just quit Did you realize that the Rascals are gone from TNA? Like, there was nobody reporting rumors of this shit. Nobody reporting rumors of contracts up. Everybody knows when somebody's contract might be up, but then, or is coming up. But when these guys, now I'm finding out on television that the Rascals are like coming to AEW and shit like that. You ain't reporting shit. Remember when Brandon, remember we talked about Steve Regal passing away like a couple weeks ago when we talked about that? That happened in summer. He died months ago, and we just heard about it like a couple weeks ago. Ain't nobody reporting his shit out there. So anybody that's ever given money to a dirt sheet, you need to, if you still are, you need to cut that shit off. Get Rocket Mortgage or whatever that shit is that does that for you. Cut off all that money.
You paying $29.99 to dirt sheets?
Right.
No way. Hey, all the dirt sheets, essentially all they are is, hey, so-and-so said this on a podcast, and here's the transcript.
Right.
It's news. It's news.
Here's 17 paragraphs we just copy and pasted from Wikipedia, and here's one paragraph of a quote they said on a podcast. That is dirt sheets nowadays.
Yep,
right.
Check out we're reporting the hard-breaking news, not those grifters. Now go for a paywall of $13.99 a month.
So, I mean, if you're like Miguel, he did put this out. I made a lot of mistakes in my time. I've always apologized and did my best to put a better foot forward after. I don't preach hate, and I don't take any pride in being hateful. I'm a man of faith. I believe in forgiveness, and only ever preach that I am different. I'm a different man today. That was his statement on the X after the news broke about the reasoning why.
Yeah. Well, I got something to say to Trey Miguel. I mean, he'll probably forgive me since it's a little bit hateful, and he's preaching forgiveness. So he could forgive me for saying this later, but AEW already has the real Ricochet. They don't need the smaller, less talented, less charismatic one. So it's no big loss for AEW. I'm just saying, we already got one of those.
Yeah, and she brings up a great point. Yeah, isn't what Wentz did the pictures that he did worse than that?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, weren't those what led to him getting released from NXT?
Well, in the words of the great
Brandon,
Michael Jargo,
someone else fired.
In the words of the great Dr. Michael Jargo, it's fucking Hitler. So that pretty much, whatever. I don't care, honestly, but it's just, this is what happens. But I'm more interested in, just sort of showing you how nothing's being reported, correctly about stuff that's actual news or could be news. And like Rick says, people are talking about podcasts. Like, dude, this one, I can pull this up right here. This is from, according to this, 10 hours ago. WWE's Nick Aldis comments on potential for in-ring return. I don't have to click on that. You know why? Because I already heard the podcast that was on. You know when it was? 2 weeks ago. Not 10 hours ago. 2 weeks ago. Keeping it 100 when he was on there. So people have already known this, and this motherfucker, whoever put this article up, just got around to listening to this right now. I'm sure he had a lot of podcasts on his plate, so it was probably low on the list, but I guess it's news today, right?
And who even thinks that's of something of interest? I mean, you're going to get a cookie cutter damn answer from any of that kind of stuff. I always hate
spoiler alert. He says, yeah, I'm interested in wrestling still. Okay.
You never know. Never say never.
Yeah. So anyway.
Good old wrestling headlines.
So yeah, that's news. Why don't we just get right into some TNA debut on AMC talk? What do you think about that, guys?
Oh yeah. Let's just get right to the steak.
All right.
Speaking of steak.
Hey, real quickly, we got the Hammer over there. He might be a little sore. He was probably at that WWE tryout camp this past week because they were focusing on black dudes and bodybuilders. He might be making his comeback, man.
That's right. Because you know that if you can't do anything with the guys you got, you just got to bring more in.
Yeah,
because that'll solve everything. So big hoopla about this. Well, not really big, but I mean, relatively big hoopla about, in the wrestling bubble, it's big. new channel for TNA. It's probably the 6th channel in 10 years or whatever it's been. I lost track, but AMC is definitely the biggest one.
Big deal.
It's definitely the biggest channel they've ever been on. So even though a big channel isn't what it used to be, right? Like I remember when we first talked about this, somebody asked me if it was like, is AMC bigger than Spike or TNN? And I was like, well, no. I mean, yes, it was back then, but Spike and TNN back then are bigger than AMC would be now due to the nature of television, right? So having a TV deal is still important because it makes you sound important, but how useful it is in reaching an audience is up to interpretation. But I'll tell you what. So I turned this thing on and I'm watching it, and it's like 30 seconds. It already has heat with me. I'm listening to this voiceover and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? What are they talking? It's the same shit, Brandon, that we talk about with the slow white people singing music, that Eric Young shit that they always be doing. Like this is a line. I wrote this down because it's so fucking dumb. And I'm like, who does this appealing to that's tuning in to see wrestling? So the voiceover says, what is tested by fire is not consumed, but revealed. Or, tonight, the heavens bear witness. This is the altar where sacrifice meets revelation. Shut the fuck up. Who the fuck are you talking to? Who is talking? What is this supposed to mean? Who is this for? This generic fucking film school dropout bullshit that you're doing to start off the show. You guys, thoughts on the intro. Brandon first. Okay. Brandon first. Thoughts on the intro right now.
I mean, come on, you couldn't have done better than that with the. Didn't you guys get a pretty sweet deal on TV on money for the TV rights? Like, couldn't you put some of that in production and put something together better than this?
No, they can't.
I'd say, was this the last hurrah of the Rascals? They're sitting back there hot boxing, just trying to write the most cringe-worthy thing they could come up with that would fit into the AMC family of hit dramas that they put out there. I mean, it just sounds like something from Walking Dead or something like that. But
I would have said that if I didn't know better. Like most people, like everybody, you were talking about the negative reactions, and people were blindsided by how bad this show was, but I'm sure Brandon and I were just like, well, this is just Thursday. Because we see this shit all the time, right?
Well,
and
let me ask
you, Eric Young has been doing vignettes that had music like this in the background for how many years? They've been doing these vague, art house cinema type bullshit vignettes, like the Jonathan Gresham in the mirror with himself, and like all this that they've been doing this way before AMC. Maybe it's what attracted AMC, not the other way around. Maybe they're not trying to appease AMC. Maybe AMC was like, hey, these guys they're making some American movie classics themselves. I think we should sign them up.
There we go. Hey, because AMC, we got reports that they were happy with the debut, but I mean, obviously, most people don't come out the next day and bitch that they got sold a lemon. But let me ask you too this. I mean, there's the strategy for this opening. Who do you target? To me, there's three. You've got that you're looking to kind of either focus in on one, try to spread it out. You've got those diehards are following. You've got kind of that lapsed fan that knows about wrestling and might hear like, oh, TNA, that's still a thing, or I kind of remember that. Maybe I'll check this out. And then you've got a newer audience that you're hoping to see something interesting that they'll say, hey, I'm a little hooked. I'll keep following this.
I got
who do you go?
I got all three. Well, it doesn't matter. I can get you all three in one. You want to know how? Cut this bullshit out and start the show with AJ Styles.
I agree with you 100%.
Right then and there.
You start with action, but you go with the guy that everybody knows across all three of those boards.
Right. Show comes on, lights come up, AJ Styles music, AJ Styles. Just start with this. Start with whatever they actually started with. Save your the drama, film school 101 bullshit and save that, can that.
Well,
just go right to AJ Styles for everyone.
Didn't I say that on a watch along? Start with even the old school AJ. Get ready to fly. We're flying into a new era of total nonstop action wrestling. Just give us AJ. Know that the face that built that place, not just your pillar, your foundation. Get everybody excited to have him go out there, get that crowd hyped up, and make his big announcement. Or his big teaser.
Yep. And it looked like it's some seeds planted, like he might be back in the future, because he pretty much went to Kazarian and Santana and said, regardless who wins, I'm kind of keeping my eye out on both of you.
Right. Well, this basically hits all the points, because not only is AJ Styles the TNA original guy, but he's prominently featured right now. Like, he's in the thing with the top guy. He's on Raw with a top guy. He's got a match at the Royal Rumble with a top guy. This is like, now it's not like everybody else who's in TNA showing up, which is like, creative has nothing for you, go to TNA. This is AJ Styles is now checking all the boxes, and that's the best way to start. So they knew that much at least, but they didn't know enough to format it where you don't make the people wait even through a 45-second bullshit intro. Just save that. You could even just, if you had to get the shit in, put it in after, but start out hot with AJ Styles music.
Like,
so if anybody was left after that, AJ Styles comes out, right? If anybody was still watching and didn't turn the channel through that terrible intro, AJ Styles comes out. He's got his old theme. He cuts a promo about, oh, this is the house that AJ Styles built. Well, AJ, I got some news for you. There's some squatters here right now. It's not looking good.
And if you
have to get the authorities involved. He does his TNA cheerleading, and it was kind of, cringe. But I mean, the point is AJ Styles came out, regardless if he started a cringe TNA chant, at least I think at this point, the people that are tuning in, I think they may have had like their spirits dampened a bit, but I think they're willing to keep giving it a chance. I don't think they've turned it off yet.
They want to be excited. They want to buy it and believe.
Right. And then we go into some other people you might know. Elijah. Hello, I'm Elijah. Hello, here are the Hardys. Here's Justin Lyons playing guitar. I don't know who that is, but he seemed to be into it, so it didn't hurt. And they're taking on Order 4. Starts hot. My notes is John Skyler is fat. That's my notes every week. He could have dropped in the words of Steve Austin, he could have dropped a few LBs for the big debut, I think, because in my opinion, and I'm right, if you're not fat enough to be a fat guy, then you should be in some kind of shape. If you're not skinny enough to be a skinny guy, you should be in some kind of shape. If you're just in the middle and you're overweight, you need to get the pounds off or get the fuck off television. So that's my notes. But it did provide a little extra cushioning for Jeff when he lands a swanton on him. So I guess there's, a purpose for everything. And then the Righteous actually stop Agent Zero from interfering any further. And then they attack the Hardys, and then they viciously put a padlock in Jeff's ear gauge and and then hit a swanton on Matt.
I think the idea was like he was chained to the rope by his ear, and then he couldn't do anything, which is like,
that wasn't just the idea; it was the whole thing. That's what exactly
that
what happened.
Seem pretty painful if you get put in that situation. But I think this opener, it really is symbolic of what was wrong in a lot of ways. What was wrong with this entire show, and it was just trying to get too much shit in. Yeah, doing way too much, especially to open this thing. You've got this great moment with AJ. One of the, what they should have done here that they missed out on, give us those stars that we know we relate, we connect to, they're going to get excited, and then give us backstories for the stars you are bringing up, like a Santana or something like that. I felt, we're going to get all the way that main event, but throughout the show, I feel like there was a disconnect, rallying behind him, challenging for the title. Who Kazarian is somebody we recognize. But this, again, we're getting way too many damn people out here. Just focus this opening match on the Hardys. Let people get familiar, ease into the pool, adjust to the water.
Yep. For example, like the main event, why not have like a 30, like small video packages explaining who their characters are and who they are, building to the main event?
Because we got to get a lot of people on this show.
Well, we got a lot of show to get through. Let's see if they did any of that. Frankie Kazarian's with Gia, no music underneath. AJ Styles walks up, and apparently TNA doesn't have any writers either, because just like when he was waiting for Gunther at the car, he didn't say much. So he just stares at him and then whatever.
At least he wasn't waiting in the parking lot this time.
Yeah. So, all right. So now we get one of these sort of packages. They're going to do a few packages. This is a basic TNA history package where they do another voiceover and make everything sound dramatic or whatever. But then now this could be the part where everybody, if they were still sticking around, I would think this would be where the majority, if I would love to see like the chart, like where the viewership drops, if it drops, like what point does it precipitously drop? Because I would guess it would be right here at this point where they're in the building showing you the people. They're trying to show off who's here. And the first person they show is some guy named Virgil Ortiz, who's apparently a welterweight champion of some kind. So if anybody knows anything about boxing at all, they still don't know who this guy is. So
I thought he was a welder.
Yeah, welterweight. Yeah, that's what it is. He welded that belt himself. And then content creators. We had a row of content creators. And as you're showing off this row of content creators, who are just a row of people that don't get named, you can see how there's nobody on the side of the building.
How bad was this? They lined up all those guests on the empty end of the floor. It is Tarp Emporium. Hameen got great advertising there with the Tarp Emporium. Brandon, do you remember that, talking about that? I mean, immediately jumped out to us how bad, embarrassingly bad that is, with a whole end of the arena and nobody, and that's where you set these celebrities?
We were both like, what the fuck? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? That makes absolutely no sense. If Vince McMahon were there, he'd be losing his shit.
Vince McMahon there, he'd be raping somebody. But if for who was here, that's the thing. Like, there's only one thing sadder than parading people that nobody knows in front of an audience and expecting them to be like, oh yeah. And that is having nobody in the building behind them. It's already sad enough if the building was full and you have D-list celebrities. WWF's done that for years, but here, at least they had people in the building when they did that. Here, it just wasn't working, and we're not even done. Gia comes over to what she calls Hollywood Row, and then she introduces the stars of the AMC hit show, whatever she said, Dark something. No, that was the movie. Whatever their show was, I don't even remember. I didn't write it down. And then whatever To-Be original movie that these people are also in. And then we had Mara Sade, who's just on the roster. They had other people on the roster too, like AJ Francis. Like, hey, this guy works here. He's sitting. Great look. Because we saw WWE do that on the Netflix premiere, so we're gonna do it. But these people,
Speaking of other things that WWE does on their shows, now we're gonna get to that later at the end.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so we have Mara Sade, who used to be Jakara Jackson, and Candice Michelle, who I don't know where you dug her up from, but she definitely looked like she was dug up. Yeah. I was looking, so all these people they're showing you, and I'm like, more people know, especially at least in the wrestling, but like obviously you got to be somewhat in the wrestling bubble if you're watching TNA, for God's sake. Like, normal people don't watch this shit, right? So the biggest celebrity to you in this audience is going to be the red hat sign guy that's also there. Like, he's more of a celebrity to you than any of these people.
It was. I mean, they're going through. I kept like, all right, am I missing something here? Is this like the Stranger Things to me, or I'm just lost because I'm old and white and out of touch with everything? Because I had no clue. And the only thing that popped to me was that there was no one there in the background.
No, you ain't missing nobody.
And I say it's coming from the same place that Delirious came from, and being taught by some of the same people. I would think he would know better. I would think, and Tommy Dreamer too. Like, geez.
Yeah. I don't know who to blame, but everyone's to blame if we don't have anybody to point the finger at.
For when we need to show stars that we're going to use our own talents as seat fillers for this. I mean, obviously, like yesterday, big division round in the NFL playoffs, Broncos hosting a big game with the Bills. You got Peyton Manning there, but he's on the field before the game talking with the players. You know, they show him and Josh Allen having some words. You got the ties with Peyton bringing a Super Bowl to the city of Denver. During the game, he's up in a luxury press box. He's not like going to aisle 15, seat 7 and just chilling with everybody else because he can't miss this game. Like, where in wrestling did we come up with this? That, maybe that our stars are as big as the other stars who bought a ticket for this BS or something like that? Because I remember like Tiffany Stratton sitting out there with her championship belt on the Netflix debut.
I'll tell you exactly where they came from. It came from Fight Sports. They do that in UFC. They'll have guys that aren't fighting that night sitting in the crowd. Like, here's UFC
like
such and such.
There?
Yeah. That's who did it. And it'd be like, it was like, but the other idea of it came from, like pro boxing and stuff, like having celebrities or dignitaries that you would catch like at the Tyson fight or whatever. Like they used to do that.
I get those,
some of those guys might have been boxers
in an audience,
but they did have like ex-fighters and stuff that would sit there sometimes. If maybe not current guys, but maybe, I mean, but that makes sense because they're just letting you know, like, that's part of fight promotion. It's like letting you know this is such a big deal that people want to be a part of it, whether it's this guy. But the problem is you got to really have somebody, like if you had like a major wrestler there from WWE watching it, that would seem like, oh, this must be a big deal.
Right.
But you're not going to sit him in front of the fucking hard cam side with no filled seats.
I get that, but not your current stars that are there. I mean, we don't see
UFC. UFC does it.
I didn't realize they do it there. I mean, but I do get, because it's, NBA really made it famous. What celebrities are going to be sitting courtside at the Knicks game or the Lakers game? Because that says, hey, these stars want to be a part of our game. That elevates your status as a brand, as a league in those eyes. But, if it was a big showdown with the Pacers and the Knicks, you didn't see Jordan going and sitting there to watch another game like that. Now, you do have them where they're in the building, but they're usually in luxury boxes sometimes like that. They're not sitting right there front and center with that.
Right.
They're elevated. They're not with the fans.
The marks.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, WWE's done that too. They've had people in the luxury box being like, look who's in the luxury box. Or even if you go back to remember when they bought WCW and those guys were at WrestleMania that time, like they did stuff like that. But the point is, anything but this is basically the point.
This was
like, we could talk about
lowest common denominator.
Right. And as if this wasn't bad enough, then Ryan Ziegler comes out to do a spot where he gets crotched on the guardrail and chopped by these people. So this guy's is this just to increase Mara Shade's credibility that she could beat him in a wrestling match because we're coming up at Genesis? Is like, is that, oh, well, he could be, this movie star with a lot of gray in his beard can chop him in the chest. So obviously he can get beat by an active female. Right. So I don't know. And to answer Final Boss's question, no, I can be objective at this. This is me being objective. I don't know if you're asking us, but but like, I totally get it. Somebody coming in that's like a lapsed wrestling fan, like one of the three people you wanted to know who the beginning was for, they're not going to be into this. They're probably going to check out right about here. So anyways, yeah, just so Santino comes out, he's in a better mood than he has been. I guess he can't grieve forever about his daughter turning on him. He introduces Darla Ray, who used to be Sonya Deville. Daria, excuse me. I wrote down, yes. Daria, yes. I just read that wrong. Yes, Daria Ray. Daria from Beavis and Butthead, the chick that with the glasses that got her own spin-off show.
Diarrhea, cha-cha-cha.
Yeah. Yeah, she comes out and she turns on him. She turns on Santino. He's having no luck with the ladies. And then Elena Black comes out as she's introduced by Daria, is like, look who I just signed or whatever. And Elena Black comes out, stands awkwardly on the stage for a few seconds. And then we're done with that because we got to cut to Mike Santana sitting in a chair. Somehow they knew that as Mike Santana was just sitting in a chair ahead of his match, that AJ Styles was going to walk up and give him a pep talk. They knew that. We had to cut away from this shocking signing of this free agent talent that's making her a first appearance on this debut episode and whatever. Fuck that. Go to this guy in a chair. And they do. And AJ's there. And he says, basically, to quote Al Davis, just win, baby.
Well, you got the AJ watch alert. Somebody in the truck has that extra camera. They got their finger on that button. So if he's doing anything of interest, which is probably a good idea for this show, just make sure you got a camera with AJ in case he's doing anything that you can immediately jump to him. But I think, as you said, but how quick they transition out of that speaks volumes. Did they know how flat this introduction of the former Sonya Deville and
No, Santino and Daria went long is what happened.
Is that what happened? So they got to get out of there?
Probably.
That did seem like that did drag out a little bit, but then you get the boom cut. What is she? Elena Black? Is that the new name?
Elena Black.
For the former Cora Jade, correct?
Former Cora Jade.
And I think what's most interesting here, I saw over the chat, they're thinking TNA paying better than OnlyFans. No, it's just that she can keep that job. She's just doing this as a side gig here.
Right, this is just for fun.
To boost. Hey, if I'm TNA, I lean into that. I promote her on OnlyFans. Go over and look at this young sleaze bag.
Yeah, they always had those lower thirds with the socials. Just
give her her OnlyFans on there.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Brandon? I mean, you're probably used to this too, though, because they do this in NXT a lot. They just people just start fighting and then they're like, well, we got to go to the back. It's just like, no one's interested in this fight. So why are you doing it? Why are you having a pull apart if no one's interested in it? Just, that's how uninteresting pull aparts have become, So it's, that's basically it. But I mean, anything to add on the Daria debut, Elena debut, Happy Santino, anything?
I think this sums it up perfectly. Diarrhea, cha-cha-cha.
Again, just too much. Trying to get too much in.
Well, we got the equivalent of that coming up next. Because if you didn't tune out already, if you didn't tune out after the shitty intro, if you didn't tune out after the empty building, wait until you see the Elegance brand. Because, oh my God.
You want to talk about a segment? I'm like, I forgot how bad this gets.
You want to talk? Yeah, I'm sure you came in with a little bit of objectivity in your pocket too, didn't you? You maybe didn't remember it as badly. Well, that happens again a lot on the Next Level Wrestling Review, where Ray Hernandez thinks he liked an episode of NXT, and by the time I'm done with it, he's rethought his entire life. That's the magic of the vet, and that's why I'm the best in the world. So, yes, the Elegance brand. In the ring, it's terrible. I don't even need to tell you what is said. Trust me, it's just terrible. Perez Hilton is here. Remember that guy?
That hot, fresh, young influencer.
Yep. He's definitely 1,000 times more famous than anybody they showed earlier. Mm-hmm. But it isn't 15 years ago either. So I don't know, how hot and fresh it is, even if it does kind of fit the gimmick. And what they use him to do is they're going to unveil Mr. Elegance, because they've been on a search. If you haven't been watching, they've been on a search for Mr. Elegance. They've been auditioning. They've been doing all kinds of stuff, and it's all been terrible. And so here they finally got their guy, and they unveil him. And
I have to add one thing. They actually did find Mr. Elegance last week. It was like the random janitor with a dad bod, and they picked him.
Right. I was right about to say that. And so he, they take the sheet off, and it's definitely not that guy. And they have a before and after picture, of this young guy that's on so much growth hormone. I gotta say, I don't do drugs myself, but I do know that growth hormone makes everything grow, right? So while it does give you the benefit of giving that low body fat percentage, where it just completely deletes all your body fat, but it's also making your cranium grow and bones and organs and other stuff. So that's why this guy's head looks like that. Just letting him know he may want to scale back on some of it for the future for his health. But some
more on the acronyms there. CJZ from OVW is who this gentleman is. He's an OVW guy. Long after you had left the territory.
Clearly, because he's very young, it looks like. But again, the warning stands. Ease back on it. He's back on the CCs, kid.
Yeah. He's back on just everything, the overacting, all of that.
Well, it's just in line with the Elegance brand. Like, he's only trying to match their energy. This is as bad as they are, so he's trying to be that bad. I can only assume. What's funny? The only people that are entertaining with real charisma, which is the Inspiration, they come out and they don't speak at all. They just make their normal entrance for this match that's about to happen. So let's take the girls that can talk, and let's just have them come out while these people just completely stink the joint out. So our match is the Inspiration versus the Elegance brand for the Knockouts Championship, and Zaruka's here looking on in the back. Special guest is Zaruka. And, the match is the match, and Mr. Elegance chop blocks Cassie. She gets rolled up, and we have new Knockouts Tag Team Champions, or once again, Knockouts Tag Team Champions, the Elegance brand. So my takeaway from all this, besides that it's terrible, right? Like the presentation and everything, but also, like I said, you had the real entertainment, and they felt unceremoniously jobbed. Like, they weren't treated like champions. They weren't treated like stars. They weren't treated like attractions. They were just paraded out to lose belts.
And Todd pretty much explains right there. They're pretty much done with TNAs.
That's not a good reason, because
I agree. I'm not saying that's justified.
Yeah. Well, I'm explaining it. I'm explaining it to everyone who may wonder, or you may just agree or just accept that as a reason. The point is, even if somebody's not sticking around, if you're beating them, you better beat somebody.
I agree. I 100% agree. It's just TNA fucked up on that. I'm saying that's probably what their reasoning was, but it still doesn't justify it.
Right.
Even on
and it's
the
a
way
problem
out,
with TNA, right? Isn't that what they always do?
Yep.
Even on the way out, you don't downgrade that champion. You want them to look at their peak so that whoever you're passing that on to looks like they have elevated that they're moving to the next high level, that you're carrying that division, championships, whatever, that talent is going to the next level. They're evolving. This entire match itself, it looked like they had no chemistry, bad pacing. I know Billie Kay, whatever she goes by now, is much better, improved than what we saw back in WWE. She always had great character work back, but even like her bell to bell, her moveset and all that. I remember watching this thing. I got in my notes with it here. Like, I couldn't believe it looked like she went all the way back to her beginning classes. There was just something so off in this, and I think it was because of that, as you mentioned it. They know, they're just here to do their job. Contracts are out. They're out of here. They're not getting a good send-off. There was nothing really to make this thing look impressive to come back to be like, all right, this Elegance brand, maybe let's tune in for them going forward. Complete You got elegance, influence. All it was a disaster.
Yeah, this match, it was bad. There's no justifying it.
More so Heather are pretty much the shits.
Yeah, it feels like they kind of drug inspiration down.
Yeah, Heather's rotten, actually. M might just be the shits. There's a tier of these things, but
is Dano still done?
The shits.
Is Dano still done? Miss Elegance?
Yeah, she's done forever, as far as I know. What were you saying, Brandon? Which one's lower?
Yeah, which one's worse? Yeah, the shits are rotten.
Rotten is the worst. Shits is an upgrade from rotten. Shits is just diarrhea, cha. So
yeah, so at least diarrhea can produce. You can use that for fertilizer.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. TNA won't even okay, so even if Inspiration's done. Well, again, they just sort of unceremoniously jobbed, but even if it's guys like Joe Hendry, right? Like they do the same thing to him, but he's supposed to go to WWE and you're supposed to have a working relationship with them. So why are you giving them damaged goods? Why don't you shine them up before you give him, It's like, do they not, if you move out of an apartment, and you had disagreements with management, right? And then you don't, clean up and get your cleaning deposit or whatever. Like, do they just give that apartment to the next person?
Come on in, you poor schmuck.
Yeah, it's just, they still got to go through and clean it and everything. So they got to hand it off to the next person.
They didn't disrespect it and they didn't hurt their own brand. But when ECW would send off a talent to WWF, you always felt that they had steam. They had some fire behind them rolling into WWF, but they would still go out and making somebody look good in ECW. I mean, I'm thinking like when Snow moved on, when Taz moved on, they did their spot, but they weren't made to look so weak and like a joke that we weren't going to buy into them. We still believed that they had some momentum, that they could make some noise in WWF.
Right. It's just a different way of doing things. We always talk about how some things in the old days, some classic ways are better. Some things are timeless. Some things are timeless, but some things have a point in time, and some things were never good. And everything going forward should, you have to take the best of everything. You have to excise the stuff that never worked. You have to rethink the stuff that worked, in its own time. You have to rethink it for a modern era. And the stuff that's timeless, you have to make sure that you always include that because it's usually the best way to do things. So the territory days, you would do a favor on the way out to help the territory. But see, they're doing that shit in NXT. It's the same territory. I've seen you on NXT. You can't lose. That's why I was happy that Obafemi just left the belt, because they don't do that enough. But the problem is they already beat him twice before he did that. And Ricky Saints beat him straight up. It just doesn't, they're not thinking about their own business. So of course TNA doesn't care what happens to Inspiration, but you're also shortchanging Elegance brand, because to anybody else, it's just going to look like you just beat a couple of chicks and it doesn't matter. So I don't know. The way you do it is obviously better than what they did it, but you have Elegance brand come out, do their yep, get some heat, Perez Hilton, all that, yada, yada, yada. Then Inspiration comes out, upstages them, completely tears them apart on the mic, makes them look stupid. Then, last laugh, heels on top, ha ha ha, you talked all that shit, but we won. So everybody had their moment. This
get here, just too much shit. You've got the Perez Hilton thing, you've got the Mr. Influence, you got a combination of this program, a title change, just too much shit in a segment.
Yeah, well, let's see. Ariana and Stacks do a promo. Gimmick injury report. Everybody's favorite part. And guess what, guys? They changed things up a little bit. I can't imagine why they've made changes to the gimmick injury report. I'm sure it's not anything to do with us and our blatant coverage of it every single week right here on the Impact Attack, but they no longer have specific injuries. They are only giving you the person and the status. We don't get to know why they're hurt anymore because we kept calling it out and making fun of them for it. So now
bruising, contusions,
bruising, contusions, and other words for bruise, and upper body. My upper. Hey, next time you guys call out from work, just tell them, I can't come in. My upper body's acting up. See how that works. So no wonder we don't have those anymore. But
can you just call into the work and just play the intro for the injury report segment and all that? Just even do right. Get the voice. Hey, that could be something they could do instead of the cameos. They could do your injury report for work. Just call them for $50. They will cut you a promo for your why you can't go to work that day.
This absence is brought to you by Bioflex.
Yes.
So Hudson and Grace. Harley Hudson and Myla Grace are both out. But the Angel Warriors are cleared. But all 4 of these women are victims of Doomsday Danny Luna, who's not in the country right now because of visa issues. I don't know if they're the same visa issues that were plaguing Leon Slater, but,
Did Danny Luna work any WWE live events that weekend?
I don't know, Brandon. I don't know. But, if she was over there, she might as well have. She's already worked there before, Yep.
Granted, I will say this. I don't know if those are real or not, but it would make sense that if there were legit visa issues, I could definitely see WWE being like, hey, you can't use them. Mind if we borrow them for this tour? And they're not going to say no.
Yeah, Carmelo Hayes needs a win. So Burt Macklin's out, but Santana is cleared. And that's the gimmick injury report. It's not fun without the stupid injuries now. They're trying to make it not fun. Well, we'll do our best going forward, but let's see. Indy Hartwell does a promo on a loading dock. She's being interrupted by the Elegance brand walking through. Perez Hilton's done. He got his check. He's out of the building. He's not going to be ever seen again, ever. He didn't even know what he was doing when he was there, and he's certainly not ever going to do it again. But, yeah, so...
hope you got that check from AMC, buddy, because I'm still waiting on my check from TNA.
Hey, we got a package explaining what the knockouts are. Then we talk about how Danny Luna is having those visa issues, so... Lei Ying Lee is going to do an open challenge, and it's going to be opened up to, Zaruka comes out, and Sol Ruka makes it sound like she's going to take the title shot, but then she gives it to her bestie, Zarya. So it's going to be Zarya versus Lei Ying Lee at Genesis. So there you go with that. That was relatively straightforward as a segment. It sure was a little bit okay, I'm not that excited about it, but at least they didn't fuck anything up. Any thoughts?
A little crossover. I don't know. It worked. Like you said, it was to the point. We're in and out here.
All right. World title package for TNA. Just letting you know that this company has had a world title for many years. Then Mike Santana and Frankie are walking. Then Santino has to inform Cedric that Leon Slater also has visa issues. And his replacement is Joe Hendry. And he says, don't say his name. But then he says his name and his cell phone starts ringing with the theme song, which is a cute little touch. But at the same time, it's like, wow, you couldn't even have had Joe Hendry just actually show up on the FaceTime to say something funny at all. Could you? He couldn't have been bothered. It's live. He could call you.
Or
call you.
Thursday nights, he's busy, baby.
Or that could have even been a pre-tape you slide into the show later.
It would have been awesome if there was actually a show they were doing. If TNA was doing a show at the same time as WWE doing a show, it would have been funny if Joe Hendry just called in during that show.
Yeah,
why not?
Is he on the tour with WWE, Brandon? Do you know? I mean, to have him like just call from like a house show over there or something like that would have been.
No, I don't think he is because he was at Genesis. So he's in. So yeah, he was in Texas that weekend.
Well, I mean, he could have made the flight over the weekend.
True,
I don't know if he was doing anything, through the week there, but he could have made it look like that. Say his name and he just magically appears from another continent, something like that. That's how important it is. He wanted to be a part of this thing and put over, even no matter where he's at, then put over that he's red-eyed and he's got the call. The bat signal's put out there. He wants to do this for the TNA faithful, for those fans. He's going to take that red eye. He's going to be there in the building for Genesis to get thrown down.
And then there's also somebody else on that flight too with him. Camera pans over. There's R-Truth.
There's R-Truth. Except none of that happened. So the system comes out and they're talking about, JDC's going to have his last match and all this stuff and whatever. JDC actually says to Eddie Edwards, they wrote some stuff for me. Like just so that he could say that, whatever he wanted to say, like, I'm not saying what they said. I'm coming from the heart. But I still think that, even though that was kind of his JDC character when he first showed up in TNA, like sort of breaking the fourth wall and exposing the business, it's never going to be super over with me when people do that. But that's really all I took from this. Cause again, it's just more generic shit. And the system is less interesting than ever, to be honest. So, well, the next part was interesting, though. Carlos Silva introduces Dixie Carter to booze.
Every time I put my head down and discuss and shake, just go ahead and drink in the chat.
There was more people booing than I thought were in that building. Like, I don't know how
were they piping in booze?
No, I don't think so.
Get me that Dominic Mysterio track, pal.
No, this was definitely a segment that was like, you misread the room. Like, you definitely thought this was going to go differently than it did.
Well, we are in Dallas, Shug.
I think that's the logic. She's probably just hanging out. She might have just showed up there, something like that, thinking, hey, let me get that last hurrah and see how they react to me. This is maybe for that Laps fan, but no one cares. No one's going to miss here. She looked nervous as hell out there too, Vet. She looked scared. You think it was just that when that reaction didn't go the way they anticipated?
I think she was more of like kind of freaking out of, okay, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen.
Yep. Well, either way, it was awkward because it wasn't enough booze to get booed out of the building, but it was enough to make it uncomfortable because there certainly wasn't anybody cheering. So it sounded like, it sounded like a
saying boo earned.
Right. It sounded like a segment of the audience definitely knew what was up. So, yeah. So then Bully comes out. A
portion of the audience works for the company.
Yeah. So we've seen. So Bully Ray comes out, and then it's like they probably thought that was going to be like oh my God, what's going to happen now? And nobody made any noise. And then he ended up hugging her, and then more booze. And then Bully goes to the desk and she goes to the back because he's going to do commentary for our main event. I mean, what'd you think? Were you surprised to see Dixie, Brandon? Was that?
Yeah, I didn't think they would do something like that. It's like, why? I get they're in Dallas. I get it's TNA, but like with her history and like the fan perception, like bad optics. That's bad decision. I didn't think they would but then again, that's all the rest of the show. So
I was going to say up to this point for what we've seen, for what they consider the celebrity, some of the other involvement, I don't think it was shocking or surprising. The reaction, most certainly surprising. Let me ask you that here. I do agree with the use of AJ there. That works for the show. Bully works for the show, making an appearance. How could they have better used him as a rub, an appearance here for the debut? I mean, this seems kind of wasted in this spot. Little tease. Oh, your first thought is, you put her through that table, we're going to get some kind of interaction. He heads the commentary. Did you like the use of Bully? Could have been better.
I never particularly liked the use of Bully, but if you're gonna use him, I guess this is fine.
Okay.
I don't know what you do better. really. So
I mean, because you already kind of got that big moment with the Dudleys and the Hardys already out of the way.
Yeah. So, it's fine. It would have, anything else would have ended up being more cringe. It's just, you've seen how these segments go with these other people. So who's he going to do it with? Why would he do it? He's here because the busted open.
I was going to say, this is just a busted open rub.
Right. That they've always done that, where they'll bring in LaGreca for the pay-per-view panel and shit like that. And that's just what they do. So, which is funny because that's also Mark Henry's catchphrase. That's what I do. But anyway, so the main event is Mike Santana versus Frankie Kazarian, and they've been building to this sort of throughout the night, and obviously,
kind of
through the weeks leading up as well. But Kazarian gets a little sports team heat, just to do that. There's a ref bump, there's a belt shot, there's a fade to black on the apron just for Santana to kick out. And then he gets 2 spin the blocks, one of which gets kicked out, the second one doesn't. Santana wins the TNA championship for a second time. No Dolph Ziggler. He promised to cash in, but he didn't. And that's how we end with we ended up with a title change. So you got a big title change on your debut episode, which to me it just sounds like, again, this sounds like Mark booking, like what you think.
Yeah.
Would anybody really care that a title change happened on a TV show? If you've not been watching it and you don't know who these people are, the title change itself doesn't mean anything. It wouldn't have meant any less if they didn't take the belt off Santana immediately after he won it the first time and he was just defending it here and had a nice match. So that establishes, like, well, this guy came in the champ and left the champ, I guess he's somebody. I feel like that does just as much, like in all things considered, in a pro wrestling booking landscape and the way the audience looks at things now, I don't see really much of a difference if you're trying to establish somebody as, I'm a defending champ or I win the championship. I kind of feel like it's the same thing, but what do you think?
To me, this is where the major disconnect and failure was in this debut. And I know we had some segments where AJ interacted. You're giving that rub, that known star established guy talking to the champ and the challenger. Cut a lot of this show out. Use some star power, the established ones that but one of the major focal points throughout this 2-hour run should have been telling us this story, getting me connected, emotionally invested in what's going down in this main event. As a lapsed TNA fan, I know Frankie Kazarian. As a wrestling fan, I know him. Remind me about his history with the company. Had took him this long to get to the top. For Santana, I know him as a wrestling in the bubble guy, but as new fans, lapsed fans, you don't look at him as a main eventer. We need to know his story, his journey, his travel to this moment to really sell that payoff. Again, one of the biggest drops here, though, you should have left that damn show with Ziggler, Nemeth as your champion, or something there to tie that in with that established guy that across the board that has such a great history with the biggest promotion in the world.
I do want to bring it up before I throw to Brandon. I want to bring up a couple of points, not to defend TNA, but just to state the facts so that everybody's clear. This was a live episode, and they had some shakeups that they had to deal with. They had different advertised stuff on this show. Like the Leon Slater was supposed to wrestle. I'm sure Danny Luna was there to do something. So they did have to deal with a little bit of that. As far as who are these guys, what you're saying, like, I agree with you when you're talking in the sense of, okay, we have to catch the people up, right? That haven't been around.
Mm-hmm.
But for the people that have been around, I'm so sick of hearing about Frankie Kazarian and Mike Santana. I'm tired of them both. I hate them both now, even though it's not their fault. It's just like, I'm just tired of hearing about them.
But for that,
and with Frankie Kazarian, if you tell Frankie Kazarian's story, you run the risk of giving him sympathy as a heel because he does have a good story. So like I can understand leaving that part out. And then as far as Mike Santana goes, it's like he's been crammed down our throats so much I'm gagging on Mike Santana. It's just like I can't take another moment of Mike Santana. So if you did that here on this show, which they might have, I might have just skipped over it. Maybe I didn't write any notes, but you guys watched it. You're saying they didn't. But so yeah, so like they didn't know enough, but I mean, they can't do everything for you in one episode, I guess, even though I still agree. I still agree that there was still room for it.
When I asked you, how do you target those different demographics? I mean, when we look at a WWE PLE, it does get frustrating for those of us that sit through weekly programming, watch every hour, come on the airwaves here to analyze, break down that. So when we watch those, it does get a little repetitive because we see those promo packages. But the WWE sticks to their guns, knowing they're going to have higher viewership for those PLEs than they do their weekly programming. They've got to get people invested, emotionally charged for that match. They do a tremendous job with it. I think here on this open, you hit with those storylines, those connections. And then as the weeks go on, you ease into all these other characters. Not just throw everybody out there, open the gates, and it's just a mad rush. You know, it's festival seating to get everybody noticed.
Whatever they called this episode, I don't know. None of it worked for me, but I'm too far removed from what the normal person thinks. I am not the right person to ask anyway. And I can tell you that I can just tell you that they could have, if they had added Santana stuff to get you invested, it's gonna, the way they do it, because they've been doing it, if they do that, you would have got tired of this guy before the main event. Because they don't know how to present him to you in a way that doesn't feel like he's being a manufactured people's champion. You can't manufacture a people's champion. The people choose the champion. So in that way, the way you get people to choose a people's champion is you don't try to cram their backstory down everybody's throat every 5 seconds. You have to make the people feel as though that person is being overlooked. He's being forgotten about. He's not being promoted. Why aren't you doing something with Mike Santana? He's a stand-up guy. He wins his matches. He's not a piece of shit. Like, I like that guy. Why aren't you doing anything with him? That's what the fans are supposed to be saying. If I'm seeing package after package after vignette after documentary after documentary about this guy with his daughter coming out with her little glasses and everything saying, I love my daddy and all this shit, like, I'm just like, go the fuck away now. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. So the way if they knew how to do it, then I would agree with you. But since they don't, I think it's better this way.
Right. I think,
honestly think it's better this way.
You're going to get that divide, as you're saying, because you sit every week, you watch this, you're tired of it here. But, coming up Super Bowl, they're going to tell us those types of stories for guys we've never heard of that we're going to start following during that game. There is a way to do that here. And it is a fine line to walk. I also think with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling here, they debut at a very odd time. Is they're trying to introduce this to a larger audience, bring in some new eyes on it, but they're also just a couple days out of a pay-per-view. So they're trying to sell something immediately to you, the hope that you'll watch that you have really no idea about, which even because the main events from this debut on AMC to the pay-per-view, you think, hey, you hold that big title change moment for that, but you rush it here. And then we got to follow it up with a rematch right away.
I think that's just due to. I think that's just.
I know it's just bad. It's just bad logistics. It's the way it
logistics. Yeah, you had to book those buildings before you even knew you were going to get the AMC deal.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just, and I'm not blaming the company for that or anybody. That was just bad timing on this.
So Brandon, my question that I asked was, I don't think it like. We talked about Santana being the champ, whether he should have dropped it, whatever. Like we've already discussed that plenty. I was saying, I don't think it matters whether, for the average person or anybody, I don't think it matters whether Santana wins the belt here or whether he was the champ going in and defended the belt here. So which one do you think was more impactful to somebody that's just watching it? Do you think it's more impactful to see a champion make a defense or to win a title?
You're muted, bud.
Unmute.
You're saying some great stuff. You're emoting perfectly. Unmute.
Unmute the mic.
Oh, sorry. My apologies. I would go into it with a title defense. Like, hey, we're going into our new era on AMC. This is our champion. This is our guy watching defend our title against, somebody. And I have it be something from NXT. Have him go over them.
Okay.
Like a surprise opponent.
I would have seen, just from an outsider perspective, and you were selling a pay-per-view here. If you would have had the heel steal the title on the television debut and immediately hyping, we got a rematch coming up in 3 days, pay-per-view, gimmick match on the line. Can our hero regain that championship? Now you got that pop moment for a title change. Your hero got screwed. Now you got some heat on the heel here with Frankie and a reason to say, you know what, man, not only do I want to tune in next week, now I'm interested in this pay-per-view thing you got.
Boom, there you go. Get 3 birds stoned at once.
Well, they did what they did, and that was the debut. So apparently, we can sort of rehash it. People weren't happy. The way I found out nobody liked it was I just was scrolling in my Twitter feed and I saw Moose make a tweet that says something like, people are like,
if you haven't bumped, you shouldn't critique it.
Yeah, he's just like, criticism and opinion are 2 different things, and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, he must be talking about that debut being awful because everybody's trashing it. I hadn't seen anybody trash it. That's the first thing I saw was like a defensive tweet. So I'm just like, okay, well, I know how that went then, which is but again, for me, it's Thursday. I don't see that this shows like this happen all the time. It's everybody else that has been ignoring TNA for years, and then they got swept up in the hype, and then they got their hopes up, and even if you didn't have your hopes up, you were probably still massively disappointed. But this is just the kind of shit we have to deal with every week, and we already know this. Like, Brandon and I know this because we're the ones that have to carry the burden when they decide to take holiday time off. Like when they have Bound for Glory and then take 3 weeks to fuck off.
Here's a clip show.
Yeah, what?
What the fuck? You're
enjoy the
hottest you've ever been. Oh, we're gonna take time off and do clip shows. Yeah, great business decision. What the fuck?
I guess the big question is that Dr. Michael Jarko would always ask, did they do enough to make you want to tune back in? And that's going to be, to see where they end up. I guess because of the holiday, their rating was delayed here. That's going to be interesting to see how many people tuned in for it. For me personally, I think just because I'm in that wrestling bubble, while I wasn't blown away, I'm not going to be like, I'm not making an appointment television, but I'll probably give them a couple weeks to see where this goes.
Yeah. Well, don't give them too much, like learn to cut your losses early.
Hey, there's no more Thursday night football. Not a whole lot going on. So they've got a couple weeks. So especially, hey, real quick on it. What do you think about that time slot? That 9 to 11. It's a little bit different. We are creatures of habit. We're used to our wrestling a little bit earlier, at 8 o'clock time spot.
I think that actually is like during TNA's the first time they were really hot, like 06 to 09. That was when they aired on Thursday. Was that time?
Was it 9 o'clock? I think you're right. I just think it might be my age and all that. I'm just usually to wind down around 10 o'clock. So it is where things just get a little harder to watch after that.
We got to think. I mean, if you're watching AMC, you're probably old. You got to take these people into account.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's just like, to me, like if you just ask me, I say, well, it doesn't matter because everybody watches what they want to watch when they want to watch it now. But if you have to be there live, and just know this show ain't going to be live every week. So it's not going to matter. It's not like you're going to be participating with the people. It's not going to be a shared event. It's going to be a taped show every Thursday, 9 to 11. So you're not going to feel the appointment television, but
Ooh, I can't wait till we get them Thursday night wars when Collision's got to go on Thursday sometimes. They're coming up with the NBA games.
Oof. Anyways, so let's move on to Genesis. Let's breeze through Genesis real quick.
And age is, in fact, just a number. Look at Big Vito.
Now my heart is full of joy. My bucket overfills with joy, knowing that Vet will eventually have to watch both of these on Thursdays to break them down, Collision and Impact Wrestling.
I'll always watch it at the last possible second before I got to go live on my own show. That's how I do it. So yeah, so the pre-show panel for Genesis, this is the Busted Open panel. It's got Tommy Dreamer, Dave LaGreca. It's got Ash by Elegance. I'm sure she's not on the show, but she will be eventually, sure. And then Gia, of course, is the host. They have a 4-way match. Some guy named KJ Orso versus Eric Young versus BDE versus Stax for the international title. Stax steals the win off of Eric Young, giving a pile driver to Orso. So they have the social media influencer in there. They don't beat him. They bring in some other indie guy to beat.
To be fair, BDE, that social media influencer, is actually under TNA contract. That's a shoot.
Still didn't want to beat him.
Is that fair? Is that really fair?
I mean, if you want, like,
what's the social media number for like a TNA signing? I know WWE just had a bunch of them at their training or their tryout camp. They were looking for like 600,000 and over. So, like, where does TNA like? Do you have to be like?
Oh my god! It doesn't. Yeah, just that's not a real question, is it?
No. Well, for all these young upstarts getting to wrestling, well, why are you wasting all your money going to these schools and training and all this? You just got to get your followers up. You get your tryouts. You get your WrestleMania dreams.
That's it. And guess what? Those followers ain't gonna watch WWE either. They're just gonna watch your channel and listen to you talk about it.
Yes.
So, earlier in the day, Indy stuck up for some woman, which ended up being what's her name? Let me look. Where's it at? Where's she at? Oh, it's right up next. Vicious Vicky something.
Venuto.
Yes, that's right.
Vicious Vicky from the New Jersey area.
She's getting bullied by the Diamond Collective, who were not on the debut episode on AMC, but so she's like, "Hey, what's your name?" She's like, "Vicious Vicky Venuto," and then she's like, "All right, well, let's have a tag match." So they have a tag match.
Let's do it.
See, but at least I will give them credit. Yeah, they said this happened earlier in the day, so that explains why it can happen immediately after this segment airs. So, yeah, it's Elegance brand is ringside for Vicious Vicky and Indy Hartwell versus Tessa, and I believe it was Mila was the partner here. There was this complicated thing
Mila
I didn't want to
Jovovich?
write down. Huh?
Mila Jovovich?
I
Mila
wish.
Multipass?
Mila,
Yeah,
get me more. Get me more, Mila.
So yeah, too complicated to write down. Elegance interferes with Indy while Vicky got DDT in the ring and beat. So that happened. It's a pre-show. Nobody needs to worry about it. The main show starts. Romeo something sings the national anthem. Is some fat cowboy guy. Then we get the AMC catch-up packet. We got a catch-up packet on this show, but it's just for the AMC. This is what happened if you didn't watch AMC. First match, AJ Francis versus Rich Swann, or Commanders versus Cowboys, if you go by their gear color. We saw Styles.
Got to get that local heat, baby.
We got a Styles clash from Big AJ there. Just everybody shouting out AJ Styles. It wouldn't even be the only Styles clash we see. But eventually he wins with a double down payment. So yeah, these guys would have been good to have on the show. They're both very entertaining. Whatever you ask Rich Swann, hey, you tell Rich Swann, hey, I need 2 minutes, get on the mic, or AJ Francis probably. And, anything but that train wreck that was the Elegance thing. Like, you could have put these guys there. You could have put several people there. But you got the match here. I don't know, Brandon. What do you think about this? It's just AJ going over.
Man, you know what I would love to see? I know Casey Navarro's still injured. How about have Swan go over with Casey Navarro helping him?
Oh, well, he was injured, but he's not too injured to be here. Because
wasn't he? Wasn't he on the show?
I'll talk about it when we get there. But
don't get ahead of yourself.
Yes, yes, he was. So yeah, that could have been something. But it wasn't.
I like what you said, Vet. I mean, you got two highly entertaining guys. They can go on that microphone, especially what you said with Swan. Utilize these guys on the television show in a sweet, to the point segment to help sell this Genesis thing, and that they're going to hook up. And if you want to fire up whatever crowd you actually had there in the arena for Thursday night, maybe let these two do it from that perspective. To sell, we're getting the energy from there. We're moving to this thing. But yeah, and familiar faces again that we know. And you're doing something productive with them. You could have been.
Could have, but didn't it? So Santana's with Gia, no music underneath. He gives a shout out to everyone, including his daughter with the glasses. Ali versus Elijah. Hello, I am Elijah. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch this shit. The finish is Ali hitting Elijah with a guitar. This is the funny part. I watched this part. So Ali hits Elijah with a guitar when the ref is down, right? And Elijah has Tasha Steelz in the tombstone position. He's getting ready to tombstone her, right? Or what is that? What is his version called? Like the
Highwayman's Farewell or something like that.
Yes. So it's a ridiculous mouthful of words. Yes. He's getting ready to give her the Highwayman's Farewell, and he gets hit in the back with a guitar, and he sells this guitar shot by dropping to his knees.
Which is the move, right?
Yes, essentially that's the tombstone. So she just doesn't sell it and gets up and is like escapes, and then Ali gets the 1, 2, 3.
I did know. So I think Elijah did actually pull her up before he dropped. Like he did clearly like pull her up before he dropped. So
that's even dumber.
I know, but still.
Right? Like, isn't that dumber?
Without the concentration and centering your energy there.
Yeah.
That, you don't get the full effect of that.
Yeah. I think it would be even more devastating then. Sloppy, uncontrolled drop on the top of the head. That should be much more dangerous.
Well, instead of just going to your knees with it, would it have been like a better visual just to fall completely forward where you like pancake sandwich her between you and the mat there?
Yes. Or even better, what would have been funny is if he just tombstoned her. And then Ali was like, oh my God. And then he just rolls her body out of the ring. That would get over that.
Have her laying there, devastated, knocked out, whatever, and just have him roll Elijah off of her. So even when the 3 count's going, she's still there laying there, devastated by this tombstone.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is like Ali doesn't care about anybody. So if he just saw her get tombstoned or whatever and just rolled her cold body out of the ring just to pick up the win, that says more for his character than
like he doesn't even bother to move her. So she's still like he gets up and celebrates, and she's still laying there next to.
Well, you're not supposed to move a body if you don't know what the injury is, RBV. I mean, come on.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care about anybody.
Exactly. So that's more heat for him. But anyway, look, that's why I'm me and
a lot to do that you could do there, and they completely missed.
Yeah, none of that. They didn't do anything. Instead, Tasha's fine. Everybody's happy. All right. Next is the retirement match for JDC, or should I say Terry Funk? Because his gear looks like Terry Funk's pants, and it even has Forever on his ass.
Okay, so I got that had to be a rib. That had to be a rib.
Well, what does that mean then? Does that mean he's not retiring? Because Terry Funk had like 50,000 matches after that, but. This is one of those ones where they do the tribute moves, like, hey, I know these people. Yeah. So it took several Boston knee parties to finally put him down. And then some.
Oh, I gotta throw this in there. They even ribbed the John Cena finish where they had like the chokehold on
Eddie he's smiling.
And then he fights out of it instead of tapping out.
Right. Yeah, they did a bunch of stuff. So it was a meta match. And then after the match, select baby faces came out to the stage for a standing ovation. One of which, Casey Navarro. That's how we know he's there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's the end of an era for Johnny Dango Curtis, or however you've known him, Fandango, just regular Let's Get Weird Johnny Curtis, other names that were said by people that he used. You know.
So is there any like backstory behind the retirement match? I mean,
nope.
Okay.
No, he said his wife made him. I think that's the backstory.
Happy wife, happy life, man.
That actually literally was a story on TV. Like, so I talked to my handler, aka my wife, and we both decided, it's kind of time for this thing to come to an end.
Yeah, so you even passed the heat on his retirement. It's amazing. So
blame her at his Hall of Fame speech.
There you go. Oh, he ain't gonna be in no Hall of Fame, but he was good. He was a good guy. I always enjoy watching him. That's what I'll say about his career. Anybody have any final words for Mr. Curtis as he rides off into the sunset forever?
We are looking for more pros here on our podcast platform. If you'd like to come in and fill in on the Impact Attack, especially, please reach out to us. We'll get you in touch with Big Ray or MSG and HR.
Yeah, he'll definitely do that for sure. Yeah, Brandon, any final thoughts on the retirement, the match, anything?
I thought the match was a little much. Like the Boston knee parties, like it did seem a little much, but also it really did come across like, fuck it, it's my last match. Let's have some fun on the way out.
Friends. One last time, you got to get all your shit in.
Yep.
But I did enjoy Johnny Curtis as a wrestler. I thought he, nice hammer. Whoop. But I thought, I do think he should have been a bigger star in WWE. I thought he had a lot more potential than the ceiling that he hit.
Yep. I mean, he definitely he was already there for like a couple of years before they did the Fandango thing.
Yeah.
But once they did that was like that's something Vince really pushed for. Like he tried to make that a thing. And then he got tired of it and it became what it became. But, for that, that initial WrestleMania match, he was as hot as anybody at that time, but
he went viral. And then Fandango became a thing.
Yeah. It just, once Vince is no longer interested, that's it. Gimmick Injury Report is back again. Elijah, who was just hit with a guitar, is in evaluation now. We don't know what the status is. In the protocol tent. That's right. We got a tent set up. I wouldn't be surprised if it literally was a tent. Burt Macklin is out because remember 2 weeks ago, or the week prior, he got jumped and beaten up by the Outlaws with a Z, the NXT Outlaws. But don't worry, because even though we know that he's out and not cleared right now, he's scheduled for next week. So he'll be there. We know he'll be ready next week, even though we know he's not ready now. So just hang in there. The Hardys, from their vicious attack on the AMC episode, they are cleared for action because we got a match tonight. Not next, though. Next is the intergender match, Ryan Ziegler versus Mara Sade.
Good thing Ryan Emmett's the dude who's not afraid to make an ass out of himself, and otherwise this wouldn't have been anything.
It almost wasn't anything.
It still wasn't anything, but
he knows how to play the yes and I think the probably the most positive thing here is that this thing goes barely 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, they made sure to keep it at least as short as they could.
They learned something from you, Brandon, when you were talking about you and that chick going 5 minutes.
Well, I will say this. I give Ryan a lot of shit, but I mean, he did reasonably well here given this situation. I think Miss Jackson held up her end of the bargain as best she could. The problem though wasn't really necessarily either of their faults. It's just the way that they did this finish where, see, Ryan used the ropes when he was pinning her one time and the ref caught him. Like, hey, you can't do that. And then a little bit later, he used the ropes again. And not only did the referee willfully ignore that he was using the ropes after already catching him, but the ref put himself in such a position that he had to count around Ryan's foot. So there's no way that he couldn't have seen this guy basically hugging the ropes, like right in front of him. He has to like have horse blinders on to not see this. So bad positioning, or just if you're going to look that stupid, you shouldn't have looked smart by catching him in the first place. Either you get rid of the one or you do a better job on the second one. I don't think it makes sense to go for the same thing twice in a match. Even if you were going for the same thing more than once, I'm sure Ben would tell you rule of threes, from his improv background. Get caught once, get caught twice, don't get caught the third time, but don't just not get caught the second time. What the fuck is that? There's no rhythm in 1-2, so that was weird. But other than that, so next is Ariana and Stax doing a promo, basically saying your emotional booking won't work on us, Dad. So then we get the knockouts match. This was probably going to be Danny Luna, but Zarya's stepping in. She's from a foreign country too. She has no visa issues. They have a match. I mean, it's all right. There's a ref bump again.
They give them some time here.
They did. Soul and Zaya take out the Elegance brand, who are, try to interfere. And Lee wins with their finish. And then there's sportsmanship. And then Elena Black comes out. And again, she makes the discount double check motion. And, lets everybody know she's a contender. But still no words on the microphone, because everybody knows what that sounds like from months and months of NXT. But I'll just say there was a spot in this match that was very ill-advised where Zarya was wearing Lei Ying Lee. Zarya was wearing her like a backpack and then did like the running cannonball into the corner. So like the Kevin Owens would do, which is extremely dangerous because now you're both about to fall on your heads. You've got the weight of another person dragging you even further down, and you can't protect that person by going upside down and flipping into the corner. So that was dangerous. I guess everybody was okay, but don't do that.
Yeah, they got lucky. Like, how are you supposed to protect yourself and take a bump safely when you're both hooked like that?
You don't. You get lucky, which they did.
Hey, sometimes it's good to be lucky there.
Mm-hmm.
Luck is a residue of design. Brand tricky. Of course, not in this game. That was total luck right there with them.
Yeah. Preparation is the only luck. Booker T. Dolph Ziggler will wait for a Texas death to happen, and then he's going to cash in. But this is where we find out, because he grabs the trophy, and the trophy has a referee shirt inside.
Whoa. Swerve is in.
Yeah. All right. So again, if we're looking at this from like a kayfabe standpoint, why the hell would anybody agree to let this guy be the referee for this match? A guy is clear. It's a clear conflict of interest.
From what I understand, I think it was a Daria Ray decision on Impact. After Impact went off the air, yeah, it is a little bit convoluted. They did air.
All right, I was going to ask today because they didn't make mention which of our directors of authority authorized this, right?
Yeah, there's a social media clip that happened after the Impact went off the air where Daria Ray made Nick Nemeth the special referee.
That might be something you might want to mention or like show a clip of. Kind of important to the plot.
Honestly, I think they did. Actually, I think they did. I don't remember if they did, but I think they did.
I don't think I remember even
not on these shows. They didn't.
Right. I mean, I'm not going out of my way to look at TNA social media to figure out, the ins and outs of this thing. You barely had me for your debut on AMC. Barely had me for this thing.
It could have been on the pre-show. I skipped a lot of pre-show because what I did was I would drag the progress bar, and as long as I saw Dave LaGreca's face, I knew I didn't have to stop. And then once it got to anything like a match or a promo or something, I would watch that. And I didn't see anything with Daria on it, but it's possible I could have missed it, or it could have been possible that Dave LaGreca broke the news that she made the decision. But either way, it wasn't made as clear as I would have liked. But I mean, I guess even if they did or they didn't, at the end of the day, you see a referee shirt in a trophy, I think you could put 2 and 2 together.
I'm still, right. This is a major part of this plot, not just here for the main event, but for the divide in your management. So I'm with that. I mean, I didn't watch pre-show, but completely, I didn't see it if it happened.
Well, we're gonna see, it's not gonna matter that it happened either. The Hardys versus the Righteous. Hot start. Music still playing while they're fighting. This match hasn't even started yet. Well, then the match starts. Yeah, then the bell rings. And yeah. Again, I ain't watching this shit. But there was the spot where the Righteous did the twist and the senton. Right? Dutch gives Matt the twist of fate, and then Vinny gives Dutch. Dutch gives him the twist of fate. Vinny comes off with the swanton. However, because the spot is that Jeff has to pull his leg and pull him out to break up the pin, they hit him with the swanton, and then they have to roll him all the way across the ring to the ropes where Jeff is, rather than Jeff go to where they are. So that looks stupid as shit. But anyways, Dutch gets on the mic and says, "This is what we wanted. That we want to hurt." And everybody's like, "What?" And then they give the twist and the swanton to Vinny, and the Hardys go over, and apparently the Righteous are happy because this is what they wanted. More of this high concept gimmick bullshit. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of supernatural hillbillies. I'm tired of all this religious weirdness. I'm tired of just anything that's not just guys in trunks and boots anymore, because it's just so phony and ridiculous. Like, why would you be a wrestler? RBV, your take on the Righteous and the Hardys and this match and everything else.
Okay, I guess I'm a little bit different on this event because you've been seeing it play out regularly, so it is something a little bit unique to me. I think it does fit into the AMC universe, a little bit more to see that, but I just need more. I need more understanding between it, where I think you're maxed out at it. I'm at a point where there is an interest between this thing. Yeah, but, anything with the Hardys, and I do agree, it's nice to have the Hardys there featured with belts because shiny things draw attention to them. And that's, again, what you're trying to do here with the products right now. But it's tricky to find ways to continue to protect them and to keep the interest in the things that they've done. I mean, we've almost, over all these decades with the Hardys, we've seen them do about every possible thing that they can do. So how do you continue to freshen that up? It is a challenge.
I think we're out of ideas now. Unless Brandon has an idea.
The only thing I can think of is them doing something another outs, like not Broken Universe, but something kind of like that, like something new that's along those lines, which I know you're not going to like, but for them, that's kind of what they got. Their only option to kind of reduce the amount of bumps to take while still being relevant characters on TV.
Well, that's good for reducing the bumps, But there's no impetus for it because I mean they just won the match, so everybody's happy. Hardys win.
That's what the righteous wanted here.
The righteous were glad to lose, so I guess it's over. Next challengers.
I'm betting on. I don't think this is over between them. I'm betting on we see the righteous visit the Hardy compound.
Oh segment. Yes, yeah, of course, 100%. It's gonna be great. Leon Slater's got his visa issues, so he can't. He can't be in this match. They replaced him with Joe Hendry, as we mentioned. Yeah. Also, as a result of him not being able to get in the country, I believe Carmelo Hayes, under traditional pro wrestling rules, is now the new #1 contender to the X Division title because he beat him on SmackDown.
A proving ground match.
We could get two. Yeah, we could get
an eliminator match or something.
Yeah, we could get 2 belt Mello. So look out, Leon. There's another challenger.
For Leon Slater, at least somebody inside of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling got to wrestle in front of a television audience of over 1 million people this week.
It's nice, right? It's very good for him. It's an experience he may never have again until he does leave TNA. So I don't think he's wrestled in front of a combined 1 million people yet. So.
Hey, he did pretty well. It was a decent, fun little showing over on SmackDown for him.
Yeah, Leon's good.
Yeah, and it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. He's going to WWE. Like when as soon as WWE's like, we want him, he's going.
Right, and that's why I put the visa issues in quotes.
Yeah,
So,
anyone else from all over the world can get to the USA for shows, but except for these guys that just happen to be in the backyard of where WWE's touring at.
Yep, just so happened we had a visa issue right here on this weekend, and not before, and maybe not very long after. So it's Joe Hendry versus Moose versus Cedric Alexander. So this match I don't think has any stakes on it now because
let's just go dance, baby. 3-way dance.
So in a repeat of something that he did on NXT, Moose decided to get himself backdropped on the stairs again.
Why?
I don't think you should have a move like that as a signature move. Getting backdropped on steel stairs. That's kind of hard to recreate. But
especially when you have the possibility like when he did tonight, it damn near looked like the Shawn Michaels on the casket bump.
Yeah. It definitely looked bad, but I didn't believe it. Like I wasn't really believing it at first because when they showed it, when he did it the first time, I was like, well, that probably sucked, but he barely took a bump. Like he landed hip and ass first, and I don't think you could take Moose out like that. They showed the slow motion replay. It looked even less dangerous. So even though it's always dangerous to take a bump like that, I don't think he would have got hurt off of that. So I thought they were running an angle. I'm not going to say I 100% knew it, but I thought that. And that's exactly what ended up happening. But the problem with doing that is the people are distracted. Like while Moose is out there getting checked on by everybody, the other two guys are trying to continue the match and everybody's not into it because they're concerned, right? They're buying it. So good. You hooked them. You got them to buy it for what? Moose just came back in, finished the match. And like, what did you get out of that? What was the purpose of that? Why did you want Moose to appear like he couldn't continue the match? Were you just trying to do something different for the sake of doing it? Were you trying to add drama to the match? I don't.
Well, you add drama. Now I'm looking forward to that next injury report to get the lowdown and actual scoop to see what was sustained long term from the spot with the steps.
Yeah, I assume he'll be cleared.
But you're right, Ben. I mean, usually with something like that, when you have, a planned out medical check there, that's usually as a decoy to run something else, right? And then we just have where these guys are trying to carry a match inside, so no one's paying attention to the wrestling. Now we're wondering, like, shit, is this legit over here? Did something go awry?
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a reason. Normally, when you do shit like that, if you're doing the Spirit of 76, that normally means the guy gets carried to the back. That way the focus is no longer on somebody right there at ringside getting looked at by half a dozen people.
Get him in the back and then get the pop for the return or something like that.
Boom, there you go.
That's it. And it was never going to work anyway, because none of these guys are, they've all been sort of marginalized. I mean, Joe Hendry is doing what? They were just so happy to see him. They forgot what his booking was like and how he's barely been doing anything in WWE at all. They felt like they need to buy him out of his contract to get him there, just to do what? And Cedric, on the other hand, already released from WWE, now trying to make it here. He's so confusing. He's got Spider-Man and Black Panther gear at the same time. It clashes. And then I just don't like Cedric Alexander, like, as not as a person, but just as like a performer. I just don't enjoy anything he does, the way he does it. The idea of, and that was the other story of this match. The main story was just the amount of bumps that Cedric was giving these guys. Like, they're not like, he's known, if Cedric's known for anything, it's for getting a job at the Cruiserweight Classic.
Right.
And then he's got these two fucking, meat guys.
He's
just like bumping them around. Yeah, he's just bumping them around. And he's kicking out of shit. Like, Moose spears him out of the air and he kicks out of that. Like, okay, I'll kick out of Moose's finish because I'm Cedric Alexander. Who the fuck are you, dude? You're lucky you're here. You're lucky to have a job. Why are you acting like you're not just like you're in these guys' stratosphere? I don't get it. So that really annoys me, but thank God Joe Hendry just slides in and gives him the standing ovation for the win. Because I really thought Cedric was going over the way this match was going. Maybe that's why he took so much, because he knows he's not going over. But they should have agreed. Like, he gave Moose a fucking Styles Clash. Like, logistically, that shouldn't even be possible. Also, we've seen Styles Clashes already.
Why? I mean,
and the first, I forgot to mention this too. The first 3 matches on the main card, apron bumps. The same apron bump.
Why is Moose so giving to these lesser in stature than him? It seems like he is a bump machine for people he should not be selling for at all.
It seems like he's too. It seems like he is too giving and too nice of a guy when it comes to like wrestling and making people look good.
Oh, I'll tell you, I got to work with him, and he is probably one of the most sincerely nice dudes you could be around. And he's so humbled, and it's almost like, from the short time, just the interactions I had with him, he doesn't want to push anything on it. Yeah. Because I haven't had to like give him some tips, coach him up to go on a local news thing here. Because he was just kind of timid on it. Like, this, like, I'm used to like the bell to bell stuff, man. Like, I don't know about this one-on-one interview stuff. But, we had him on a perfect time when he came here to Cincinnati. It was right around the NFL draft. Easy tie for me to get him on a local ESPN show. We got a guy that went through it. I remember we were sitting there at Long Neck's bar, and he pulled me over the side, and he was like, it's like, what they're going to kind of ask me? He's like, because I don't really like talking football. Like, like shit, He's like, I don't follow it. He's like, I'll just kind of give blanket answers and all this. But it was funny because so Moose gets through his part of the conversation with Mo Egger, great host here. But then it's Deanna Peraza who jumps up there, and she's got all the insight into the NFL. She's breaking out stats and talking about her favorite players. This is what Brady's going to Tampa and how her heart's been broken being a Northeast girl and all. So it was just funny, the dynamic with them. But to see Moose, yeah, man, he is such a humble and great guy, but such a freaking presence, man. I mean, guy's as big as a fucking skyscraper.
Yeah. No, it's like you said. It's just too nice because he thinks this is helping Cedric get over. He's not understanding that, like, what appears to be selfish on the surface is just reality. You're playing out reality. You are an ex-football player. You look like a killer. You've established yourself as a pro wrestler for many years. You should be an intimidating presence that has to get chopped down, and then when they chop you down, they look good. If you just give them the bump for free, you're not helping them or you.
You're devaluing yourself.
Right. So just because you can do things that are athletic doesn't mean that you always should. And just because you think you're helping somebody else, you have to be sure that they actually are helping, because you can make people you don't want people to be like, bullshit when they're watching your match.
Do you remember that match that Moose had with Kevin Knight where he bumped and sold for him and made him look good? Where's Kevin Knight now?
Well, Kevin Knight is 1/3 of the trios champions in AEW. And did you know that with a belt count? Because now Kevin Knight has a belt to count.
Yep. So yeah, what did that do for TNA? What did that do for the company? Not a damn thing.
Right. Nothing. So, what a great match. That's still a good match.
That was a good match.
I haven't seen very many matches better than that since then. So, anyways, yeah. So, but Joe Hendry gets the win. Nice. Good job. Santino brings out that busted open panel to do their picks for the main event. Then Daria crashes it and shits on everybody. She calls Tommy Dreamer Timmy. Says, move this along, play the package, which I liked. And then we get a Texas Death match. I don't know why we're getting it, but we're getting it. It's Texas Death. It's Mike Santana defending against Frankie Kazarian with Dolph Ziggler as a special guest referee. Like Brandon pointed out on social media, doing his best Shawn Michaels, with the bike shorts.
He went as far as to stuff him, pal.
Yeah. So this was all right, for what it is. It's one of these type of matches, which I'm not a fan of, but they did it, and I've seen worse. There was a gross looking move where, Mike Santana gave Frankie Kazarian a pile driver on top of two chairs. Like he opened the chairs, sat them against each other, facing each other, and then pile drove them through both of them. Obviously everything went okay, but it seems like that's a heelish thing to do. I would have, if anybody would have done that, I'd expect Frankie to do that. But there was another, and there was another weird thing, but.
Well, it's weird that, it's in a death match, you're doing anything to get done, but you're putting sympathy on the heel champ.
Yep. Yeah. You would have had to, for this to work for a baby face, like there would have been some sort of storyline development and character development that would have justified the baby face being pushed far enough to where the heel did something so dastardly, like it was him doing this was justified.
Did I miss it? Like, I know we got a big stake here. They got the stipulation. We just saw the big title change on the debut. Up the ante here. Death match. Was there anything like in a death match, like this is do or die? No challenging again or anything like that?
Not really. No, it was just a rematch.
Okay.
It's just a rematch.
Usually you see something like that and when it's this high of stakes. Thus the death, do or die kind of situation.
Yeah, you would normally, but I think that's just not how people do these matches. People just lay these matches out now. It's like, if you think of it, I'm just going to do it. Not whether it makes sense, whether it's necessary, or maybe saving it for down the road. Because now if you just do this again, it's like, oh, I saw him do that before.
Right.
But the weird thing about it was Dolph Ziggler's doing the 10 count, because this gets a fall. He pins him after the pile driver, and then Kazarian's getting counted out for the 10 count, and they're showing Dolph doing the 10 count. They don't show Frankie Kazarian one time on camera. They're just shooting Dolph.
So you're not seeing the emotion.
Yeah, and then when it gets to 9, they pan over, and then he's like struggling to get up on the apron. That was weird. That was weird how they did that. I don't know what the reason was, but
you want to
bad production. You want to show the guy struggling. That's where the intrigue is at.
Yeah, but even accidentally with bad production or somebody that was unskilled, you should have, it was there for so long, you would have thought, oh, right. There's a guy trying to get up. You would have thought anyway. But yeah, so that was weird. Then some other stuff happened. People go through tables, ladder comes in somewhere. Barbed wire. We get some barbed wire, a bat, some barbed wire. We do and Santana wraps the barbed wire around his arm and gives him a spin the block for the win. And then, there you go. Champ retains. Dolph Ziggler. He's like, hey, here's your winner. Mike Santana, he's like showing everybody, and then he hits him with a danger zone, but they act like that's some kind of a shocking turn or something. Like, oh my God, I can't believe he did what he said he was going to do. Also, he's a heel.
Also, too, they clearly caught on camera Nick Nemeth telling Carl Silva, "Hey, I'm about to catch my shot. Leave." And he's like, oh, "Okay," and just setting like you can clearly see that's the conversation they're having.
Right, and Santana looks stupid for just letting him do it.
Yeah, I mean, immediately after
street smart Santana, he came from the streets, bro. He'll never hesitate to tell you he's from the Bronx, Poppy. Right? He knows he's from the streets, but he just let this dude that he already said what he's going to do.
That is the first rule, day one on the streets, on the yard. You're looking to get shanked. You attack before being attacked. Mm-hmm. You got to be the aggressor. I mean, immediately as that bell would have rang, he should have been whooping David's ass. Or getting the hell out of there.
Right. Well, don't worry, guys. He doesn't sell the finisher for long, even though he was in a grueling match where he was defeated a couple times and answered the 10 count, So he's all worn down and tired and everything like that. And then he takes another guy's finisher who's fresh. Don't worry, he doesn't sell it long. He gets back up and just hits him with his finish, and then that cuts off the cash in. And then we go off the air. So I think of like, well, if this was real and I'm Dolph Ziggler and I wanted to cash in, I'm like, I'm still going to try to cash in. I don't care if the show's over. I mean, I'll shake this off. I saw you go through how many tables, how many pile drivers, how many different things that Frankie did to you, and you barely survived it. And I'm pretty sure I could still beat you now. So I'm not cashing it in. So if you guys say the show's over, I don't care. I will still want my title shot right now because I'm going to beat you. I'm not just going to take this one move from you and be like, well, guess I'm going home and packing my bags.
Yep. All right. Okay. That's smart. Okay. Recover and then blast you from behind. Ref's still there. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, if Santana can just get up and kick out of stuff, then surely Dolph Ziggler. But
well, I mean, if you're the referee during this thing, wouldn't you kind of maybe look at using that to your advantage when these two are beating the living hell out of one another? Maybe after someone just gets pinned, maybe you beat up the guy who pinned him and then cash in.
That's literally what he said he was going to do a couple weeks ago.
And
he didn't.
All out the window. Okay. Well, maybe you decide, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't let the cat out of the bag. Maybe I shouldn't have gave that to the dirt sheet writers to run with. And everybody in the world found out about it,
Well, it's too late, but that was Genesis, and Genesis means beginning. This is the start of a new era, which is going to be exactly the same as the old era. New channel, new year, same old bullshit so far. Well, no. Any parting words, you guys, before we get on out of here? Brandon?
Check out TNA AMC this Thursday. Whoop, whoop. Feast or Fired's back.
At least watch. Yeah, Feast or Fired. Didn't they normally do that around Thanksgiving before?
It was always the Thanksgiving thing.
Yeah, it was the Thanksgiving thing. Yep.
That's the feast.
Well, they should just move it towards Valentine's Day then. A lot of Valentine's Day dinners on February 14th.
Heartbreakers brawl.
Yeah.
Get a Valentine or get fired.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely watch Brandon watch it.
Are one of the Feast or Fired briefcases now a WWE contract? You just leave WWE. You get the title shots, the Fired, and a WWE and NXT contract in there.
That'd be amazing. So I don't know. So what do you think, RBV? Final words. The outsider here.
Hey, I love the opportunity to sit down with you guys. Been waiting for days to talk about what we saw unfold there. I don't think it was quite fair from the critics, top to bottom, going that hard in on them. A lot of downfalls, a lot to improve on. Maybe that's a positive. We got a lot to improve on the AMC days here. See if we get that direction going right. Did they do enough to keep me on the edge of my seat? Do I have it penciled in where I gotta be? Must see Thursday TV? Not exactly, but I'm going to give them a couple weeks to let this thing play out. Hopefully it doesn't go the way of AEW for me, where I just completely tuned out. So I'm still holding out hope, holding out hope for these guys.
You're a kind man. And as for the criticisms and everything, I know Todd asked a question earlier, but I couldn't get to it then.
We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show.
Well, specifically because it's what Moose was replying to JD from New York. So Todd was saying,
D-bag, old BJ.
If you're not in the wrestling business, you shouldn't critique the product. Well, whatever Moose says, he could say whatever he wants, and whatever JD from New York says, you should dismiss. That's my thoughts on it, if you're asking me. But if you guys think anything differently,
Kaz loves that guy for some reason. I don't know, but I think that is the beautiful part of it. Again, that's why you want the fans there. You're getting an emotional response either way. Maybe this rage and backlash could be a positive for other people that didn't tune in and be like, you know what? It's like like a car wreck. You hear something, you want to look over to see what's happening. Maybe this will draw some people in there for them. My biggest take on that is, like, if you're going to bash something, then come with some substance. At least be able to back up your stance. Just don't say, hey, it sucks. Well, why? What else would you do here? So, and that's what we usually don't get. Everybody wants to shit on some stuff. Don't know everything that's going on. They had a lot on their plate, man. This is, again, a new challenge for Total Nonstop Action.
Well, even a broken clock is right twice a day. So where on the calendar can we find you, gentlemen? Brandon, what do you got going on this week?
I see. Tomorrow we got the late start NXT watch along as soon as the A show goes off the air. Wednesday we got the AEW Dynamite watch along and bell count. Thursday we got JCW Lunacy and TNA Impact watch alongs. And then Friday with the SmackDown watch along and bell count. And Saturday night's main event watch along and bell count. And then Sunday HMG After Dark. Not sure what we're doing for that night. Kind of bouncing around, kind of thinking of maybe doing Back to the Future Part 3 and Good Will Hunting. I have not seen Good Will Hunting yet.
Oh, well, then you got to get that in. Yeah.
And of course, I'm also on twitch.tv/LG Brandon Whoop Whoop. And you always catch me on Twitter, or as the kids call it these days, the X, at LG Brandon Whoop.
All right. And as for the Raw, are you going to continue that? Or...
Yeah, yes, sir, about 10-15 minutes.
Ooh.
Okay, so we got that. Rick, how do you like them apples?
Yeah, that's a lot going on. We got a lot of watch-alongs coming at you here over the next couple of weeks. Still working on some Olympic stuff, especially with some of the nighttime stuff. Organizing that with Brandon. Keep your eye out for that. I'm going to work in a little watch-along. We got to figure out how and when to do it with that Skyscraper show coming up, because I know it's running against a SmackDown, but we'll figure it out. But hey, each and every day, just tune in here to the platform. You never know when the hell I'm going to pop up.
What the fuck is Skyscrapers?
That guy's going to try to climb like without a net or a rope or anything. Like, it's over 101 floors. I don't know exactly how. Some foreign country shit. I don't know. Looks interesting to me. Looks stupid. Seth Rollins is going to be a guest commentator on it, so we got a little wrestling tie-in. I do want to give a shout out. We have expanded our clip crew. We got as always, the great Kaz leading the team there. But Scotty Woodford's going to be helping us out doing some things. Actually, that he's going to be focusing in on Next Level for me. So we'll be getting some more clips out from you guys. And also we got a new guy coming on who's a big JCW fan. This is part of the watch alongs with you, Brandon. Frank from Pittsburgh doing some great work. Clipped out almost all the stuff that we had with Jasmine St. Clair, and he's going to be helping us out with that. So a lot more production coming from the clips over on the YouTube page.
Good stuff.
Whoop.
Well, thank you for that. And as for me, you can find me at Opinion Haver on all your favorite social media platforms. You can catch me every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for the Next Level Wrestling Review. Big right here, Ned is. You can catch me every Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern with Big Jimmy T and the Big Professor Chabela Vera Cruz for The Big Wreckage. Very popular, gaining momentum every week with AEW's ineptitude is our glory. Check out Wrestling with Ray Rogers every Friday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Timmy Baltimore was guest host this week. So you're going to check that out. And speaking of Timmy Baltimore, Limpin' Ain't Easy coming up is going to be going through some formatting changes. He may go into live streaming because you can't always get a guest every week for an interview. So he's going to think about changing some stuff up. But if you guys are following, subscribing, liking, all that stuff, you're going to be just as caught up as he is. And then, of course, Stevie Richards show every week. They're killing it. He and James are killing it. So that's going to do it for me. It's going to do it for you guys. It's going to do it for everyone. So thank you for tuning in. For Brandon and RBV on the Vet, and I don't have a sign-off line.